NFL quarterback development has long been a topic of contention among the many organizations in the league. Whether it be a coach, general manager, or even a fan's perspective, everyone seems to have a different idea of what the best way to develop a starting NFL quarterback is. We've seen some guys sit and wait for their turn, others have been thrown right in the fire and found success, and some have failed and gotten a second opportunity to earn their stripes with the new organization. While discourse has always existed between fans and people within NFL organizations, the opinions of the media seem to have as big a role as ever in influencing the opinions of both the fans as well as that of the people running NFL organizations. Dorrington Meyer's 2024 article, The Rise and Fall of Quarterback Development, A Lost Art, examines, among other aspects, how the media and fans have affected how quarterbacks are developed, specifically the pressure to be great right out of the gate. This got me wanting to examine what the media thinks about a few of the recent cases of ways quarterbacks have been developed in the league. So today we're going to do just that. What does the media perceive about quarterback development, and how does their framing affect how we look at things? Before we get into fully talking about the different methods of development, we must talk about media framing and the ways it can manipulate audiences. The article, The State of Black Quarterback Media Depictions in the NFL, Reasons for Both Celebration and Concern by Andrew Billings and others, dives into how the media can influence how people think about quarterbacks. While the article uses it as an example of how the media can influence the view of quarterbacks based on race, the principles of it can also apply to our argument about the ways of development being influenced. As told by Goffman, Entman, and Gitlin, media framing is all about how certain facts, situations, and other crucial circumstances are presented to the audience to push whatever narrative the media wants about whatever situation, whether it actually be true or not. This happens all the time in sports, as Billings and company explain, and this theory reflects upon what we talk about all the time when it comes to quarterback development. One trend we see constantly is media members basking in reflected glory, a concept where people try to bathe in the success of others who they may or may not have even associated with. This is one of the reasons why media members are frequently making major blanket statements about sports players, whether it be calling them the greatest ever or the worst ever after a single performance, or whatever other kind of extreme blanket statements they can make to get clicks. Then, if they're right, they make sure you know they were correct, whereas if they're wrong, they often do not take accountability for being wrong. The first method we'll look at from the media's perspective is the sit and develop method, for which we are going to examine Jordan Love, the Green Bay Packers quarterback. Love was drafted in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft and sat behind Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers for 3 seasons. Despite several reasons not to throw Love into the fire, his raw attributes coming out of Utah State, Aaron Rodgers being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time starting over him, and other reasons, just 1 year into his sitting, Colin Cowherd decided enough was enough and that Jordan Love wasn't the guy.
I ask every player this. How many days does it take when you draft a player to know that he can play or he can't? And the answer from every player is always shockingly quick. 2 practices, you can tell if a quarterback can't play. Well, Green Bay's had Jordan Love there for 150 practices. Don't you think they know the answer? Green Bay doesn't want to move Aaron Rodgers, and because of COVID, none of us were at those Green Bay practices, right? Green Bay knows he can't play.
This clip ignores the fact that Rodgers was coming off an MVP season, by the way, and also ignores the fact that Love was supposed to be a developmental prospect who may take years to be startable in the league. Even further, Cowherd dogged on Love his first year starting in 2023 for the first half of the season when Love was struggling. Then, when Love improved and finished the season strong, he tried to act like he's always been on his side. Cowherd is one of many examples of people who didn't believe in Jordan Love simply because he was behind another guy, a guy who, by their own admission, by the way, was one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. It's perfectly fine to have an opinion on Love, good or bad, but playing the result too early has sometimes led to media members having a bad stain on the sit and develop method. Love is one of several guys who went about this route and became stars. His predecessors Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre both sat before starting, with Rodgers having a nearly identical situation to Love. Even the sport's biggest star today, Patrick Mahomes, had to sit for almost his entire rookie season. Does anyone care about that now that he's the icon he is? The point is that people need to have patience with these players, especially the media. I believe if the media in the league didn't put such an emphasis on players needing to show immediate signs of great play, that we'd see way more quarterbacks sit and learn from more experienced starters, much like how Love did to open his career. The other method we will speak in depth about is the reclamation method. It feels like we've seen more and more cases like this pop up in the league the last several years. Often in the NFL, a quarterback for one reason or another does not work out in his original landing spot and must go elsewhere to find success. Whether it be a player's second, third, or in some cases fourth or more stints, sometimes all it takes is the right situation to pop up for a once highly touted prospect to thrive. These guys are taken high in drafts for a reason after all. Sam Darnold was a 3rd overall pick, Daniel Jones was 6th overall, Geno Smith had a revival almost a decade after he was drafted in the 2nd round of his draft. However, the poster boy of the modern NFL of this method is Baker Mayfield. The 1st overall pick of the 2018 NFL Draft, Mayfield had some up and down moments in Cleveland before being shipped off to Carolina, a place that was just not a good fit for any quarterback at that time. After he left the Panthers, he got to start the end of the season with the Los Angeles Rams, and Mayfield went ahead and signed a 1-year deal after that to be the starter of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2023. Despite Mayfield showing great play in his time in LA, not many in the media thought Mayfield had what it took to revive the Buccaneers after Tom Brady retired. Stephen A. Smith made that clear on First Take, as he had nothing but skepticism for the news.
Baker Mayfield signing with the Bucs.
So, good luck. I hope that, listen.
It's according to Adam Schefter. So when it comes from
didn't
Adam,
work
you know how
out.
I feel.
Didn't work out in Cleveland. Certainly didn't work out in Carolina. I hope it works out somewhere. I can't imagine that it's going to work out with the Bucs.
Stephen A. Smith's take here was that Mayfield wasn't going to be able to play well based on his past performances with his old teams. A point that he ignored was the fact that the Bucs team Baker was joining was far better built than the teams he was on previously. A strong defense, the best weapons he had had to that point, and an organization that had proven they knew what they were doing, all combined to lead Baker to a total revival in his career. Nearly 3 years into his Tampa tenure, Baker has shown that sometimes organizational features are more important than past performances. Baker Mayfield is one of many recent examples of the media showing little respect to guys who quote-unquote had their chance, while ignoring these players' previous talents and that of the teams around them. I think this has made teams less likely to take on players like this who may fit in with their program simply because they have categorized them as bums or losers or whatever else you want to say. These two are examples of why media framing and how the media communicates about players and teams matters so much in regards not just to people's perceptions, but also the ability for these players to thrive. Next time you're looking at an NFL team making a move at quarterback, whether it be letting them sit and develop, picking up a veteran, or even drafting a guy and starting him right away, make sure you know that the media has their narratives they're going to push, but what the players do is far more important than what talking heads think. To wrap it all up, I do believe there is one category that the media likes more than the others, and that's probably the instant star in terms of a guy coming out of the draft and instantly turning a team around. You know, you look at CJ Stroud or Jaden Daniels. You look at these guys who were highly touted prospects, went to bad teams and were able to revive them right away. These guys haven't gotten a ton of scrutiny in their careers because they came out and immediately thrived, and it's just not how it always is. Some guys have it easier than others. They go out there, they have an easier time developing in the NFL. So I'd say overall, these other methods that we talked about deserve a little bit more respect, and I don't think these players need to be pushed down simply for being developed in a different way. That's all I have today. Thank you so much for watching.